还有我们期待很久的观众方法，都来自于哈佛大学史密松物理中心的杜主任。自从看到海报以后，就有很多同学一直在期待今天的专题讲座。我们终于期盼到我们方法博士呢，从来到学校来跟各位介绍外太空、系外行星的一些部分。包括我们今天整个的讲座，我们要劳驾我们陈博士来协助我们。是不是我们先以掌声来感谢陈博士跟今天这个讲座相当的珍贵啊，所以我们就直接的开始，然后如果这样其实不足的话，我们会开旁边的视听室啊，所以我们的讲座整个程序，等一下陈博士会来做一个说明，好，是不是我把这个直接就交给陈博士来做处理？好，谢谢。
谢谢校长啊。今天我不是主角，不过我把今天的整个我们讨论过后的行程跟大家解释一下啊。等一下这个欧文博士呢，他会跟我们讲这个演讲。那这个演讲我不准备做即席翻译，因为即席翻译是件很无聊的事情。他讲一句，我讲一句，那你们就会打断你们的思路，我觉得没有意思。我们是全国最好的学生啊，所以听英文绝对没有问题。但是为了要让你不会一路迷失下去，万一一下有一个关键没有听懂的话，所以我准备这样子做。我等一下先跟大家介绍一下这个讲座，介绍一下今天的讲题，换句话说给你一些专业名词啊，让你等一下方便你可以听。然后在讲的时候呢，我已经请让同学们尽量讲慢一点啊，然后每隔大概20分钟左右可以停一下，我们补习一下。然后再继续下去。那最后会留大概半个钟头左右的时间来问问题。那我刚才已经跟他解释了，我们在台湾的演讲是如果没有问题的话，他就彻底失败。所以各位一定要准备好问题。那问问题的时候，你可以用中文，完全没有问题。我的工作就是帮你把问题解释清楚。你要用英文问，也完全没有问题。所以好，到目前为止是这样啊。那我先解释一下。这个讲座，这个真的是蛮难得，是今年2012年，台达电子这个文教基金会的那个郑崇华董事长，他接受了中央大学天文所的一个提议，就是我们成立一个国际的奖项。他当然没有像很多我们很有名的那个奖项这么多钱或这么那个，而我们用来鼓励年轻的科学家，所以我们设一个奖项，我们把它叫讲座了啊。每一年我们邀请2位国际知名的天文学者，可是他们要在45岁以下，年轻的，然后来台湾待2个礼拜以上。一个任务就是在中央大学天文所给一场学术演讲，因为我们每个礼拜也都有学术演讲。另外一个任务就是郑崇华董事长的要求，他要他在他指定的一所高中进行一场科普演讲，所以各位是郑董事长指定的唯一的这一场学校，而且这个奖项是今年是第1次办的第1个获奖者，所以各位是很得天独厚的这个机会。那我们委员会选出来的得奖者，当然都是全世界最棒的人。我们不但要知道他的学术表现很好，我们还希望他很会演讲，演讲的题目也得是很吸引人的。今天的演讲呢，大家看到有题目，就是这个Kepler mission。Kepler 就是克普勒，克普勒当然是一个有名的科学家，为了纪念他，就现在天空有一个太空望远镜，叫克普勒太空望远镜。大家知道人类很早以前就想要找其他的世界，在很早以前是坐船去发现新大陆，去绕世界一圈，对吧？认识我们的世界。现在我们认识世界，这个世界这个字 大家看到这个 world 这个字是加复数，换句话说是不同地方的世界。那为了要找其他的世界，第一件事情，我看有别的地方有没有文明，有没有地球，有没有人类。第一件事情先找行星，因为行星它是一个物理的表面，一个托盘，绕在恒星旁边的行星，它叫做 extrasolar planet。extra 就是额外 ，solar 就是太阳嘛啊，而 extrasolar planet 就是系外行星。那因为这个单字出来是这几年才出现的新概念，我们刚刚查一个系外行星，所以多了英文字典多了这个单词 extrasolar planet。又简称 exoplanet， 所以 exo 大家会听到，各位会听到很多 exoplanet 和 extrasolar planet 这样的单词。原来找行星最有效的方法，是因为行星不发光，它跟恒星绕的时候，行星不发光，我们就看到恒星在绕，就测量它的杜普勒效应，就测量它的运动，来推测它旁边有引力。可是 Kepler 用不同的方法。Kepler 是用说，如果有一个行星，它的轨道面正好在视线方向的话，它会挡住这个恒星的光线，挡住一下，等下各位会听得到。那这样子有什么好处呢？它的缺点就是它一定轨道面要对，是吧？如果这样子绕，各位看不到它的光；如果这样子绕呢，就会看得到。可是它的优点是，即使像地球这么小的行星，绕到太阳或者别的恒星的旁边。也可以侦测得到。那 Kepler 现在还在天上，现在还没，他的任务是他不像很多望远镜到处乱看，他只看一个地方，一次看14万颗同时看，然后看它有没有发生那个填息遮住恒星的这个现象。目前已经发现了1000多个系外行星。可是等下各位演讲也会听到，不是所有会这样子的都是系外行星，还有别种可能混淆我们的事情。目前已经将近100个、60-70个是已经确认系外行星。换句话说，你我的视野从此以后不一样。我们别的地方的恒星旁边已经明知道确定有行星系统的要给它们。下一步就是要看哪些是像我们地球，哪些是不是有可能有生命出现这样子。所以他会讲各种不同的系外行星，有 new worlds and new wonders， 一些新的一些让我们惊异的地方啊。所以我就现在就会把时间交给后面教授，我跟他讲好，如果我发现地方需要停的话，我就会停一下。所以你也可以随时问问题，随时举手，完全没有关系。你问题可能是你听不懂，或者是你觉得需要讲太快，都可以。我会注意，我会把它打断。目的是要让各位听懂，所以各位要知道，这是一个讲，这跟你有时候上课不一样。有时候觉得过去还有平常可以吃，不一样。我这个讲座就是要让各位知道最新的研究进展，这些资料刚刚还在刚刚拿下来，这些最新的发现。那后面教授还会在演讲完还会留很多时间给大家问问题，或者是你要私下来再问也可以。不过经过了3个钟头，我相信他已经非常对了。所以如果可以的话，尽量的，因为你的问题很有可能是很多人知道。So I encourage you to ask questions. Okay? So I'm going to hand over the stage to you. Please, 大家欢迎后面这个。
Thank you, Professor Chen, for the introduction. I appreciate it. I also want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. It's a real honor to have a chance to speak to such good and young students as you. So I'm going to talk to you about the Kepler mission today, the Kepler mission discovery. As Professor Chen explained to you, this is going to be a journey into new worlds and new wonders. I'm going to tell you about some of the things that Kepler has discovered. And I want to encourage you again to ask questions along the way if anything comes up. Some of the questions that you might have, I've actually asked them here. I hope that by the end of the lecture, we've answered some of these questions. How do we find planets? How do we measure the mass and the radius of a planet? How do we know what planets are made of? When we take a picture of a planet, do most stars have planets? Do most stars have solar systems like our own? What is the habitable zone? How long will Kepler last? What comes after Kepler? Yeah.
因为问题答案重要啊，所以这一页我要帮你翻译一下。
这边我们老师就已经先问了，他想要在这个演讲里面，或者我们做这些事情，想要回答的问题是什么？对吧？第一个是怎么样找行星 ？How do we find planets？ 对吧？找行星哪些方法？第二个，如果找到了，怎么样去量它们的质量 （mass）？ 怎么样量它们的半径 （radius）？ 对吧？然后我们怎么知道它们是用什么东西做的？它们的成分是什么 ？What are they made of？ Can we take a picture？ 我们能不能帮他们拍照？有哪些困难？我们当然希望眼见为凭啊，对不对？Do most stars have planets？ 是不是多半的恒星都有行星呢？对，这个问题在等一下的演讲都会出现，试图要回答。What is the habitable zone？ Habitable 可以是一个新的字，就是适合居住的。每一个恒星旁边都有一段区域是有一块区域是温度适中的。那目前找到的这些行星有哪些是在这一个 habitable zone 适合居住的区域？然后回到 Kepler 本身 ，Kepler 太空望远镜会工作多久？然后下一步，这个太空望远镜如果已经退休了以后，下一步 What's the next plan？
So I'm going to spend some time talking about how we find planets, that first question. So here I'm talking about, there are several ways that we find planets. Here I'm saying planet detection techniques. By this I mean ways of finding planets. And I've listed several of them. And I'll go through slowly talking about each of these methods that scientists use to find planets. And I've listed them in a particular order. I've listed these methods from what people first thought of as the way to find planets to the ways people are finding planets now. These are the oldest ideas to the newest ideas. So I'm going to talk about what I call direct detection. By this I mean taking a picture of a planet. And then I'm going to talk about the astrometry of the primary star. By the primary star I mean the star that the planet is orbiting. And astrometry means the position of that star. I'm going to talk about pulsar timing. You may not know what a pulsar is, but you'll know by the time I've finished what a pulsar is. And you'll know how you can use a pulsar to discover planets. I'm going to talk about gravitational microlensing. This is something that was predicted long ago, and only in the last several years, like maybe the last 15 years, have shown to be a useful way of finding planets. I'll talk about the radial velocity of primary stars. Again, the same thing, the primary star. So I'll show how you can use the velocity of a star to detect planets. I'll talk about transits of the primary star by a planet. And the last thing I'll talk about transit timing variations. So there's several ways to discover planets. This gives you an idea of how important discovering planets is to scientists, because they use their imagination to come up with many, many ways of finding planets. The first method is this, what I said, I'll call direct detection. So direct detection of photons from the planet, direct detection of light from a planet. And I put direct detection in quotation marks because this is what people typically call direct detection, but I think many of the other methods are just as direct as this. Here's a picture of not a planet, but something called a brown dwarf. A brown dwarf is a star that has essentially failed. And this is a picture of this object. It is orbiting this star. The star is called Gliese 229, and the object around it, Gliese 229b, is its companion. This is a picture taken with the Palomar Observatory in 1994. Here's a picture taken with a Hubble Space Telescope. The main issue with direct detection of planets is that the star itself is usually so bright that it's very difficult to see the object near it because of that brightness. It's very difficult to separate the light from the planet or star from its host. Here's another example, Beta Pictoris. Beta Pictoris is a nearby star that's relatively young, and it's so young that it still has a disk around it. This elongated structure here is called a planet forming a circumstellar disk. Right here, this little dot here is a planet orbiting Beta Pictoris. And you'll see this blue circle here is the light from that local star has been suppressed. You have to block out that light in order to see the planet there. Here's another example, what we call HR 8799. You'll find out that astronomers have funny names for things. They usually give them numbers, something like Gliese 229b, or they give them something like Beta Pictoris is an old constellation. HR 8799 has at least three planets around the same star. The issue with direct detection is that we can usually only find planets around that are bright and young and that are fairly well separated from their stars. You can only find them, it's very difficult to find the planets that are very, very close to their stars. You can't separate the light. We can only measure the brightness of the planet using this technique. We don't actually know the planet's mass. We don't know the planet's radius. We only know how bright it is, and we have to use models in order to determine what the mass radius of the planet is. So when I go through each of these methods, I'm going to tell you kind of the things that are positive things about the method and the not so positive things about the method. So direct detection is nice because you can actually see the object, but you don't really know its mass and radius, therefore you don't really know that it's a planet.
现在这一部分在讲的就是侦测行星的方式，所以会有很长一段时间会在讲这个东西。最直接的当然是直接拍照，但是行星不发光，它在一个发光的东西很亮很亮的旁边，它又面积很小，所以它的光是非常弱。你要能看到它，只有几种方法。第一个是它本身行星本身要够亮，要够远，要离恒星够远。就算你看到了，你也不知道它的大小，质量是多少，对吧？你也不知道它大小是多大，就是 direct detection， 眼见为凭，看得到最好，但它有很多限制。
The next method I want to talk about is astrometry of the primary star. I'm going to show this again. You see, this is a simulation of a star orbited by a planet. And as the planet orbits the star, the two of them orbit their center of mass, the center of mass between the star and the planet. As the planet orbits, the star also moves around in the sky. If you could precisely measure the position of the star, even if you can't see the light from the planet, you can infer that there must be a planet there. Here's an example of, and this is another one of the very old ideas for how to find planets, like measuring the position of stars. Here's an example of the motion of our sun. If you were a distant observer looking at our solar system, looking at our sun orbited by our planets, and you watch the sun move around because of the gravitational influence of the planets, the sun would make this kind of curled trajectory in the sky. But you should notice that this yellow circle is supposed to show you the sun, the angular size of the sun. If you were a distant observer, the position of the sun doesn't move much compared to the size of the sun. It's a very difficult kind of measurement to make. And I put in a cautionary note here that even though this is a fairly simple idea and something that people have tried for a long time, this has never been used successfully to discover a planet.
我又改变主意了，每20分钟大概开太久了。那大家可以想象一下，到底要怎么样才能够侦测到行星？等一下会讲大概7、8种方法，你也可以想一想。这个方法呢，已经很久了，大家就想说，因为任何东西都是互绕的，太阳跟我们的行星是互绕，我们地球跟月球也是互绕的。那在互绕的过程当中，如果我们虽然看不到这个行星，我们看到那个恒星啊，它做这样子的运动，量它的位置，如果可以量得很准的话，也可以。这是一个例子，说如果我们是一个很远的观测者，我们看到我们自己的太阳，因为木星、土星这些大行星呢，它会受到跟它们互绕嘛，会造成这样子的运动，这是计算出来的。可是欧文教授最后下面有一个 portion， 一个提醒，这种方法到目前为止没有成功。
I would talk about pulsar planets. This is an example that people often forget about because it's so strange. A pulsar is a particular kind of star. It's a neutron star that's spinning very rapidly. That we can see pulses of radio wave emission from a very short period. Every 1,000 times a second, we see a pulse from this kind of an object. If, just like in the case of before, where we talked about planets orbiting the star, if you had a pulsar that's sending out kind of like the ticks of a clock, you can listen for those ticks. If they come earlier or later, you know that the star is closer to you or farther away from you. By carefully measuring the timing of the sequence of pulses from a pulsar, it's possible to infer the presence of planets orbiting that object. This has been done for a pulsar. Again, I've talked about strange names that astronomers give things. This is the name of a pulsar. It's actually its location in the sky. And this particular pulsar has at least 3 planets orbiting, with a 25-day period, a 66-day period, and a 98-day period. And we know their masses to be very, very, very small. We also know that the planets in this system only would fit inside the orbit of Mercury. They all have orbital periods. Most of them are shorter than Mercury's orbital period. And we know that they dynamically interact. I like to point out this system because people often forget. This is the first example of planets found outside of our solar system. And it's kind of a theme that's going to come up over and over again, which is that we find systems of planets that are very different from our own. And so I want, again, following that same theme of pointing out what's good, we can measure the masses and orbits of planets orbiting a pulsar. But we can't say anything about the radius, the physical size of these objects. We only know how big they are, how massive they are, and what their orbits are. There are a couple of other problems. There are a couple of other problems with pulsars. One of them is there aren't very many pulsars. So if you want to study lots of planets, this isn't really a good place to look because there are only a few examples. Also, we wouldn't necessarily expect life on planets around pulsars. The radiation from a pulsar would be extreme, so you wouldn't necessarily expect life there.
Use the microphone because there are people in the room. 这个方法是很有意思，这是事实上是第一首先找到的行星是用这种方法。这个方法很奇怪，那是因为前面讲的各种方法，就是如果我们能够精确的测量这个恒星的性质的话，我们就能够推测它旁边有没有东西在干扰它。这个 pulsar 它是一种脉动星，它1秒钟可以转700次，它像个灯塔一样，1秒钟送很多讯号给我们。因为它转得很精确，所以我们可以把它时间算得很准。所以首先找到的行星是什么？它是送出来这个讯号也是一样受到了干扰，所以我们就能够推测它旁边有行星。那这个 B1257+12这是坐标了就是这一个 pulsar 这一个脉动星的名字，在它旁边事实上找到了3个行星。 那这个行星要很近，它才能够扰动这个 pulsar 这个脉动星足够，才能让我们测量。可是它的问题在这里，它可以用这种方法，你可以推测这个行星离它多远，换句话说，它到底距离是多少。你也可以估计它的质量，因为质量就会造成扰动嘛。可是用这种方法，你完全不知道这些行星的半径 radii， 对吧 ？radii 是 radius 半径的复数啊，波数。所以他这边就，然后提醒一下我们说，天空中也没有这么多脉动星，而且我们对脉动星旁边的行星不是那么有天生的兴趣。为什么？就算它有行星，大概没有生命，因为脉动星是已经死掉了的星球，它已经是很老很老，然后已经经过爆发呀，周围的环境，就即使上面原来有文明，现在大概也没有。
The next technique I'm going to talk about is gravitational microlensing, which is also very, very unusual. You may understand when we talk about lensing, we talk about bending of light, and you may have heard that masses, because of what Albert Einstein discovered, a mass can bend light just like a lens, like a glass lens can. When one star passes in front of another star, it bends the light around that star and focus it. If you imagine a star with a planet around it that passes in front of another star, you may see a very peculiar kind of light curve. The light curve is the trajectory of light as a function of time, and this sort of funny pattern is called a microlensing curve, and this funny structure up here indicates that there was a planet orbiting this star. This is another case where we can use this technique to discover planets, but it has some positive and negative things. Positive thing is that microlensing happens fairly with lots of stars. We can use it to measure the mass of the planet and its distance from its star, but we cannot measure the planet's radius. There's another problem, is that microlensing almost never repeats. We only get one opportunity to observe each of these systems.
下面这种方法就更有意思了。爱因斯坦在100年以前就预测说，光会弯曲。如果有一个够大的质量的话，那么光原来没有这个东西，光跑不到我们眼睛里面的，我们在这里。可是因为你放了一个质量在这边，光就会弯过来，好像一个透镜一样。这个原理就叫做 gravitational microlensing。lens 就是透镜，重力透镜。原来只是理论上，结果实际上观测发现，如果有一颗星我们看不到，它走到后面这颗星的前面的时候呢，我们就会看到不是光会暗掉，而是光会亮些。原来跑不进我们眼睛里面的光线，因为透镜效应跑进我们眼睛。所以这是一个 light curve， 就它是一个光变曲线，纵轴是它的亮度，横轴是它的时间。那如果这一颗恒星在我们前面这颗恒星还带着一颗行星的话，那么它造成的光变效应又不一样。所以我自己很喜欢这种，就是说你活生生的看到你物理课本上面学到的东西实际发生在太空这样一个环境里面。它的特性就是它可以量到质量，可以量到距离嘛，可是量不到半径。还有更严重的一项缺点，这个方法虽然很妙，对不对？很棒，可是它只有一次，因为在太空里面就是这两颗星交错就这一次，下一次不会再发生的，几率很小很小，所以你只有一次的机会，让你知道这颗恒星旁边是有行星的。所以科学家想破了脑筋，用各种奇怪的方法，想要去侦测行星。
The next technique that I'm going to talk about is the radial velocity of a star with a planet, measuring the radial velocity of a star with a planet. What you see here is a star orbiting the center of mass of itself and some other planet that you don't see here. So just like in the picture where we saw the astrometry, this star is orbiting the center of mass of itself and some other planet. As it goes back and forth, the spectrum from that star is red shifted and blue shifted. This is what we call the Doppler shift. So you see specific spectral lines shifting back and forth as that star orbits the center of mass. If you very carefully measure